Welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, so as you can see, this week I've been doing a reasonable amount of weeding, believe it or not. Even though there's plenty of weeds here, you can see where I've weeded out all of the parsnips. Now what I've done is I've gone all the way up and taken out every single bit of weed, and you can see what I've done is I've left basically what parsnips have grown in the row. Now when you're weeding parsnips, what you need to do, the best tip I can give you, is obviously dig out the weeds that are nowhere near the row, with a small trowel or something like that. But where you're up against where the actual parsnips are, what you don't want to do is disturb the ground in any way, shape or form, because that will potentially damage the main tapping root on the parsnip plant, which will then mean you won't get a particularly good parsnip. It'll either be short and fat, or it will be bent or whatever. So what you need to do is make sure that you don't sort of disturb the ground at all around the parsnip. The next thing is, as you can see, that they're all at various different stages in the row, and obviously I've got some spaces like here by my foot here where none have germinated at all. So this is where I'm going to put in some of the spare parsnips, and I've already started here, this bit that's covered here. You can see those three at the end there, that one there, that one and that one. Some that I've replaced with those that I've grown in the propagator in the greenhouse. So what I'm going to do now is just show you how to put them in if you need to put them in. Now obviously the trick with parsnips is what you can't do is disturb the root in any way, shape or form. So if you're going to grow them in your greenhouse and germinate them and put them in later, what you need to do is basically grow them in a pipe like I have that you can take off, and then very carefully put them in the ground and water them straight away, so that so you don't disturb the root in any way, shape or form. So I'll show you how to do that now. But that's what the parsnips look like at the moment from this angle, and I'll just show you me putting some in from the propagator. Okay, so the one thing that you don't want to do at the moment is thin the parsnips out. You don't know what's going to come, so and you don't know how you weeding around the parsnips is going to affect them. So what I suggest you do is just weed around them at this point, and then we can thin them out in a couple of weeks' time when you know what's what. So as you can see, this area from here to here, there's no parsnips basically growing. I've got a couple of seedlings which are just coming through here, which is just off the screen, and then I've got the last one which is growing well, is this one here. So first thing to do obviously is get all any little weeds out, because little weeds now will be big weeds next week. Make sure you've got any bits out of the ground, so you know that the ground's nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is put one in there and one in here. So what I'm going to do is just take this string out of the way for a moment. So I know one's going to go in there. Now what I'm doing is the best way to do this is to use a narrow trowel like this, and what I want to do is dig a hole in there which is the same shape as the plug that's going to go into it. This will be obvious in a moment when you see it. So you need a hole about 6 inches deep, which is like the same size as that, and there's going to be the next one is going to go in somewhere around here. So I'm going to get that out like that. Okay, so I'm now ready to put in the parsnips that I've grown in the greenhouse. Now these parsnips are put in at the same time as the ones that are in the ground. I'll just take this one out so you can actually see it. So this is the parsnip populator, and all these are sections out of pot bottles. And all I did was just sowed a couple of seeds, filled them with compost and sowed a few seeds at the top. And you can see the difference between those and the ones that are in the ground. Obviously these are grown in the greenhouse. And so these have come on that much quicker now. So as you can see, the roots are all the way to the bottom. So these are really ready to go in. Now inside here I've got two parsnips. Now if you're thinning out parsnips, the best tip I can give you is don't pull the plant out. What you want to do is just nick it off with your nail. So what you don't want to do is disturb the roots again. Check that it sits in the hole and it's at the same level as the ground, so you know that that's right. Now all you need to do now is you can unroll this like that, so you can actually see the parsnips in there, and the roots aren't going to get disturbed. So all I'm going to do is just drop it in the ground, and then with my finger like that just expand the ground. Then if I just shake it, you'll see that the whole parsnip comes out. As I'm doing that, you just need to backfill slightly to stop it from flopping over. Then that's the parsnip in the ground, and the roots have not been disturbed in any way, shape or form. All you need to do is press round it like that, and then backfill a little bit more soil, and then that's the parsnip in there. Now if you water that in now, that'll be nicely set in there, and the you know, the root won't be damaged in any way, shape or form. Now if you grow parsnips in pots, what you'll actually find is you can't get it out of the pot without disturbing the roots, and you need something about that long to go. And all this is that's just the plastic from a pot bottle which I've just rolled up. If you don't have a holder like me, all you do is roll it up like that, put a bit of tape around, and that will serve exactly the same way. So if you're struggling to germinate your parsnips in the ground, this is definitely a good way to do it. So I'll just show you with the next one. So I watered these last night so they'll slip out of the tube quite nicely. Now if you look in there, you'll see that I've got a number of parsnips. So that first one there, I'm obviously going to keep, so I'm just going to nick that off with my nail, and then I've actually got two in there. I don't know if you can see, there's actually two plants. So I'm going to take off, I'll probably take off this one here. So all I'm doing is just nicking it off just below the ground, leaving me with one plant. Don't pull it out, because that'll disturb the roots, and then you're going to end up with a short parsnip again. Again, check in the ground that it's the right level, or the holes at the right depth. And then just by shaking it slightly, backfill so it supports it like that, and then shake out the tube, and that's your parsnip in the ground with the roots undisturbed, and then they'll grow away quite nicely there for the rest of the year. Okay, so that's the rest of the all the parsnips in now. You can see the ones that I've placed in where I've got spaces in the row. Now all I need to do now is give them a bit of water, which I'll probably do later on today, just to make sure that they're properly bedded and all the roots are covered in soil underneath. And then all I need to do now is just leave them for another couple of weeks, and then where we've got sort of bunches of them like this, I'll go back and prick out the ones that sort of take out the ones, just leaving one parsnip in there, the strongest one. And then basically what you're looking for is to get a parsnip every 6 to 9 inches going up the row, so they've got plenty of room to develop in the coming season. Okay, so you can see these beans are really ready to go out now. You don't want to get too big. If you see this part here, you see where the stem starts to go thin. Well, when it starts throwing those out, which is typically the second set of leaves, that's when it starts wrapping itself around the pole. So these really are ready to go out now. So what I need to do is I've already got the sticks up, as you know, but I've got this. What I can only believe is barley or I don't know. It's basically come off the straw, so it's either going to be wheat or barley or something. But as you can see, I've got a reasonable amount of it. So what I'm going to do is just quickly dig that over, just lightly, and pull that out. Obviously, this has already been rotivated over, and it's had loads of straw and chicken muck and stuff put into it. But unfortunately, my chickens haven't eaten the seed, obviously, because there's seed all in it. So what I'm going to do is just quickly dig that over now, and then I'll be able to put the beans in. Okay then, so to put the beans in, I've dug the ground over as best I can. There's still some bits of this wheat or barley, whatever it is, in there. But all I'm doing again is digging with the trowel, just digging a trench just that side of the canes. And so what you want to do is plant the beans actually inside the set of canes. So as you're walking up and down and watering them, whatever, you're not likely to catch them with your feet and potentially break the plant off at the bottom. So all I'm doing is knocking them out. As you can see, there's a reasonable root formed on there. Now I've got loads of these. Really what you should be doing is putting 1 or 2 plants per cane, but I've got quite a few plants, so it actually works out 2 plants per cane. But as you know, I'll put 2 or 3 beans in each of these, so you know, I should imagine there's going to be lots of plants on here, to be honest with you. But still, better too many than not enough. So all I'm doing is putting 1 per cane and then 1 in between each cane, like that. And then I find if you put, say, 6 or so plants in at a time, right, that's all I'm doing is just knocking them out like that, as you can see, and then just placing them. You want to plant them so they're just below ground level. So I'm putting 1 per cane, 1 in between, 1 per cane, and then obviously they'll just grow up. You know, they'll share the canes as they sort of grow up. So that's one's going between, like that, and then the next one, like that. These are quite robust little plants. You know, you can, you know, you don't need to be too sort of gentle with beans. They're not so easily damaged. So all I'm doing is just pulling them out like that. I watered these last night. If you ever planting something out, always water them well the night before, and then they'll come out of the pots that much easier, like that. So as soon as you've got 6 or so in a row, then what I do then, this is the quickest way of doing it, obviously if you've got a bit more time, is put the soil in from this side, like that, but from the outside, like that. And what that'll do is just support the plant from this side, like that. Obviously this ground's nice and loose, like that. So get the soil in at this side, and then just by pulling the soil in from the inside, I don't know if you can see this, what it actually does is 2 things. It obviously buries the plant and secures it from both sides, but what it also does is it makes the plant lean slightly out, and so it'll encourage them towards the poles, which is obviously where you want them to be, because they're going to then wrap up the poles. So when you first put the soil in from the outside, the plant will tend to lean in, and then as you put the soil in from the outside, from the inside like that, what it'll do is it'll make the plant lean back out towards you. I don't know if you can see that then, but as I was doing that, the plants lean back towards me. And then as soon as you've got that, all you need to do then is just make sure they're pointing towards the canes. You can plant these a little bit deeper than they were in the pots. It doesn't matter if they're slightly deeper than that, but and all you need to do then is just tidy it up like that, go along with the trail, and then they're in. So all I need to do now is just repeat that going along, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've got it finished. Okay, so there's the beans in. So I've basically got the same amount on both sides pretty much, just slightly fewer on this side. So this side they're pretty much every cane, where on the other side they're kind of 1.5 per cane or something like that. But anyway, so that's all the beans in. The important thing to note with beans is they do like to get the roots into the ground quickly. So you're best off planting them into ground that's just been dug, or that's, you know, that's loose ground. Don't try and plant them into hard ground, because they can't get the roots into the ground. So if you make the ground nice and soft, dig it over, your beans will get off to a much better start. Keep them well watered, but the one thing to note is when the young plants like this, slugs will most certainly have a go at them and eat them. So what you need to do is obviously put some slug pellets down, as I have here, just whilst they're young. As soon as they start to go up to the stem, up the the pole, sorry, they tend to harden off, and and slugs can't really get at them. So you don't really need to worry when they're young and tender like this. As soon as they start to grow up with poles, there's no need to worry. But make sure you keep them watered. Water them pretty much every day if it hasn't rained, for at least the first few weeks, and until they've really got established. if it does rain and your slug pellets get washed away, you know, just put a few more up just to keep the slugs at bay. But that's pretty much the beans, the climbing beans for now, and I'll show you those in a few weeks' time when they started to grow up. Okay, so it's now time to pot up the cucumbers. As you can see, I've got this one here which is more than ready to be potted up. I've got these two here that I bought yesterday from Ashwood Nurseries over in Stourbridge, and these are grafted cucumbers, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later on. And I've got these four here, which are the same, the female F1, which again is the same as this one here. Now, I'll normally grow the cucumbers up this side of the greenhouse here at the back, and then grow them up the roof. But as you can see, now that the grapevine has got to this stage, this side just gets far too busy, really. So I'm going to be growing 4 of these in this greenhouse, and four of them in the second greenhouse. And the method I'm going to use this year is by growing them under here. So what I've got here, if I just explain, I've got these trays which are the things that you normally see. And what I've got is a black plastic tray there which will be filled with water, and then sitting in there I'll have these 4 12-inch pots, and the cucumbers will be one planted in each of these pots, and then I'll basically water them, fill this tray with water at the bottom, and that's how basically I'll water the cucumbers. The things with cucumbers is they, like many gourds, they've got a tendency of basically damping off, or sort of rotting off at the base, and basically what you get is if the compost is kept too wet, what you get is at the bottom of the shoot here, it tends to rot off, and basically that kills the plant. So what you need to do is water them, but not water, basically not have too much water sitting around the base of the plant, because it tends to rot it off. Now, one trick that you can use, which is what I've used in the past, but not for a few years, is to actually water them from the bottom. So you plant your cucumbers or your melons or whatever in pots like this, and then have a tray underneath filled with water, and then basically the water will then, through capillary action, will climb up inside the pot, and then basically keep the plant wet. What you do need to do is make sure that the tray always has some water in, and what you do need to do to start off with is water from the top, then, because you need water in the compost for the capillary action, or the water rising through it to actually work. Now, you may think, why am I planting this underneath the workbench? What I'm going to do is grow them up against the window like that, and then they're going to come up round the back of the workbench. I don't know if you can see, but at the back there's a gap, so they're going to grow through this gap here, and then up, and then I'm basically going to grow them up the roof, like I would normally on the other side. So they're basically going to have all that side window, and then all of this roof space here to grow. Then I'll have my sort of cucumbers hanging off down here. So the first thing to do is to fill the pots full of compost. And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to mix anything in. All I'm going to do is basically fill the tubs with clover compost, this stuff here, which I use quite a lot of, and that's going to basically be neat compost put in there. I might put a bit of gravel in there with it, to be honest with you, but I think I'll probably just put it in neat, to be honest with you. And then I'll be planting the cucumbers straight into those pots. I'm going to have a little bit of a stick running from here up to the top of the or the underneath of the work surface, just to guide the plant up, and then from there I'll be able to support it on the roof with various canes and stuff, which will be common with the tomato plants, which are going to go over here. So I'll get on and do that now. Okay, so let's pot up the first cucumber. So these are the female F1 variety. Now, as I've explained before, I don't grow cucumbers from seed. I always buy the plant. The reason being is, in the past I've had kind of mixed results, and I find it effectively cheaper just to buy them straight from a shop, to be honest with you. So what I've done is I've filled up almost to the top, because obviously this compost will sort of go down a little bit as the plant grows, so you need to have it reasonably full. And all I'm going to do is, I've just made a hole in the compost which is roughly the same size as the plant that's going into it, So all I'm going to do is just turn the plant upside down, being very careful. Cucumber plants are easily damaged, so you need to be careful. Now what you're aiming to do is to plant the plant at exactly the same level as it was in its original pot. Like that. You don't need to agitate the roots in any way, shape or form. They will grow out sort of naturally. So that's at exactly the same level as it was. As you can see there, it's at the same, sorry, you can see it's at the same, that's the original compost around the bottom of it there. So it's not any deeper than it was. You need the compost to be relatively firm, not too firm. And then all I need to do now is to support it, to make sure that it doesn't snap. So I've shown you this trick before, but I'll just quickly show it again because I've not shown it for a year or two. So I want to put a cane basically between the bottom of this work surface and the top, and obviously you can almost guarantee that whatever cane you pick will be the wrong size. So I want to go from the bottom to the top. So I need a cane that's that big. So how to cut basically how to cut a bamboo cane. If you can cut it near a knot, that's ideal. But what I'm going to do is just cut that about 2 inches above the knot. Get you some sharp secateurs and just grab the bamboo like that, and then twist the bamboo in the secateurs. And what you'll do, you can see that, but you'll actually make a score round. Then all you need to do is break it off, and you'll get a nice clean cut, and the bamboo cane hasn't split at all in any way, shape or form. So now I've got that in the pot, I'm going to put I don't want to disturb the roots of the actual plant, so I'm going to go down. I don't know if you can see, but I'm going down the side of where the original pot would have been, if you like that, going straight up. And now what I'm going to do is use some of this, well, you can either use string. This is the double-sided sort of Velcro type stuff, and all I'm going to do is secure it against the. I don't know if you can see this. I might move the camera actually so you can see this a bit better on the next one. Like that. And what you need to do is do that reasonably often. You need to do it at least every. I've got some more from. Here we go. You need to do it where, every sort of 3 or 4 inches where you've got fruiting trusses coming out, like that. Now I know you can't see this, so I'll show you on the next one. But that's basically the first one done. So I'll just position that into the tray, and then I'll start again with the camera in a slightly better position. Okay, so same again. So the pot is sort of pretty much full to the top. I'm just going to make a hole in the pot there, exactly the same size and shape as the cucumber. Now, very carefully, I'm going to remove any leaves off the bottom which are damaged, and then basically tap out. As you can see, these are pretty much pot bound. Place the plant. Now that hole isn't quite deep enough, so you need to be careful because you can snap these off quite easily if you're not careful, particularly when you get to this sort of side. Really, I should have done this a few weeks ago. So that's pretty much about the right level now. You can see that. Just pat the compost round, making sure it's in contact. So it's at the same level as it was in the other pot. Now, hopefully that will stay upright. I'm just going to put a stick in temporarily just to hold that in place. So again, all I'm going to do is get a bamboo cane, measure how long it needs to be, so I need to cut that about there. And again with the secateurs, put the secateurs round it, rotate it round in the secateurs. So what you're doing is scoring round the edge of the bamboo, and you can either, as I did before, just snap it off, or just go through with the secateurs like that, and then you get a nice clean cut. Stick that in, and what you need to do is, don't disturb the roots of the plant. So basically just go in kind of down the side of it like that. And again, this is the bit you couldn't see last time. So this is just the double-sided Velcro, but you can use string or whatever you've got at hand if you haven't got any of that. Now, as you can see, I've got a cucumber forming here. Sorry, leaves in the way. I've got a cucumber forming there, so what I'll do is just put a tie around that. Now, this stalk isn't going to get that much bigger than it is already. With things like tomato plants and stuff, the stalk gets wider and wider as the plant grows, but with cucumbers they don't tend to get too much wider. again, I'm just going to put another tie in there. And where you've got, as I say, where you've got cucumbers coming off, you need to put one of these. I'm going to discard that one. You need to put one of these every sort of, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 inches to make sure that they're supported like that. You can't have too many ties on a cucumber plant. What you don't want to do is put too few, and then the weight of the plant or the cucumber pulls down, and then obviously stresses the plant where the tie is. So that's the next one done. Now the next plant is a grafted one, so that is slightly different. So let me just put this in place under here. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do slightly differently. The reason being is because this is grafted, it has definitely got a weak spot. So what I'm going to do is just quickly make the stick first. So I've got the stick in place. So it must be somewhere there. We're just doing this exactly the same way. Just twist it around like that. And get a nice clean cut. So I've got the stick all ready to go in straight away. I've got a couple of ties here standing by. Now, when you graft a plant, what you actually do is you grow a normal plant. Now, when it gets so long, you cut the top off, and then graft another plant onto it. So, basically you put in the roots of one plant and the stalk of another plant together and sticking it together in the middle, if you like. Now, that's exactly what's been done with this one. I don't know if you can see, but at that point there, you can see that little clip. That's basically where the two plants come together. So I'm going to very carefully turn this upside down, supporting the plant as best I can as I turn it. Now that's in the hole as it should be, and that's why they've got a stick here supporting it, because you can snap it off quite easily. Now this is slightly higher than I would have liked it, so what I'm going to do is just put another handful of compost in there in a minute rather than making the hole deeper. But what I'll do, before I do anything else, I'm just going to put the stick in down the side of where it was before, like that. Now what I'm going to do is put some ties onto the new cane before I do anything else. So this is where you need 3 hands really. So I'm just going to support that there, and then I'm going to put another one slightly further up. Now this is that long, actually I could potentially feed this through underneath the work surface already, so I'll have a go at that in a minute, and then I'll show you with the camera after the stand. So I'm just going to put one last tie at the top. I know you can't see this, but I'm trying to support this as best I can before I take any of the old sticks off. Right, so that's nicely supported now. Now what I can do is take off that rubber band if I can. Alright, so that's out of the way. And then I can take that stick out. Now the bit that's tied together there with the graft, I'm going to leave that exactly as it is. In fact, to be honest with you, I probably will never take that off, because that's basically holding the two pieces together, and it's only going to get weaker if I take it off. I'm just going to put that label in there so I know which one's the grafted one, even though it's reasonably obvious. So I'm just going to remove these leaves at the bottom. Any leaves that are damaged, that have gone yellow, you might as well take off, because they're not doing the plant any good, and they're only going to go mouldy. So that's that one done. So what I'm going to do now is just place that underneath and hopefully feed the top through the back of the work surface, and I'll show you that in a few moments. Okay, so there are the 4 cucumbers I'll be growing in this greenhouse. So what you might need to do is, obviously because the water is going to find its own level, what you might need to do is do what I've done here, is just put some glass or a bit of wood underneath. If your work surfaces aren't perfectly level, obviously the water will sort of sit up at one end of the tray or whatever. So what you might need to do, I'll just put a few panes of shatterproof glass under there. I'm not recommending you put glass under there, I know that won't break, but if you've got some thin strips of wood or whatever, then that'll just help to level it off so you get the right distribution of water. So the plants are then going to grow up to the end of the sticks there, then up through at the back of the work surface. This one here is actually all the way through, I'll show you that in a moment. So they'll grow up, so even though it's a little bit dark under there, they have got the morning sunlight from the where are we? West. So that'll come up, east. I do apologise. And then basically that'll grow up. You can just see here that one coming through at the back there. So this is the longer grafted one, and then that'll basically grow up the roof to the top here. Then we'll have the cucumbers over the work surface. So what I will be doing is when I put the tomatoes in this border here, I'll be putting some struts across this roof here anyway. So there'll be you know, some canes running up the roof for me to tie that off to support it. So that's where the 4 cucumbers are going this year. So, I hope this episode was of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you in the next episode of Jim's Allotment Garden.